Welcome to Rebecca Sounds Reveille, brought to you by the Liberty Beacon and broadcast on TLBTV. Today I want to talk to you about the 7 traits of an abuser. Why is this important? Well, let me just tell you. Many of you may have known me as being an expert in domestic violence and have talked about and written about this for many, many years. Some of the things that we talk about is how victims can overcome different types of trauma. But one of the things that we want to do is think about the prevention in forming an unhealthy relationship from the very beginning. And one of those things is to start identifying what an abuser is. Now, if you already happen to be in a relationship or know someone that is, this is important to be able to identify some of the traits, especially in the beginning stages of a relationship, of someone who is abusive. There's a lot of information out on the internet that you can find about different types of personalities, from aggressive personalities, narcissistic personalities, and more than that. But today I'm just going to focus on 7 traits, and you can find this is the main traits of a aggressive personality type found on ptypes.com/aggressive.html. You'll find that also in the article that accompanies this show. But at any rate, I want to focus in on these that they're talking about here. And this is part of the 7 series that I'm broadcasting out to help you have, or those that you know, have a healthier lifestyle and have tools and techniques, or just things that you find interesting in helping people move forward or having a little bit of fun. So this is very informative, but I'm going to go into detail, and hopefully you'll be able to find this very beneficial to you. So one of the first traits of an aggressive personality, based on this site, ptypes.com/aggressive.html, is being able to dominate and command others and exercise power. Okay, in the domestic violence cycle, the life cycle in victimization is where the abuser is very, very aggressive, commandeering, and wants to exercise power. And it's important to know this because why? We need to know what the ultimate motive is in the different types of cycles of an abuser, and this is one of them. In fact, this is the biggest one, is being able to have that control. Power and control is huge when it comes to abusers. And I also want to point out that this is not just something that is attributable solely to domestic violence. This is in bullying. This is in those of active shooters. An abuser can be placed in a number of different situations and still be an abuser. But these different traits of an abuser fall into all of them. And so it also falls into no age bracket. So this can start at a very young age and go all the way up into the elder years. There is no age bracket here for this. So the first thing is being able to dominate and command others and exercise power. Number 1, period. And if you think back of different scenarios, either in your own life or in those that you've heard in the news recently, or there is some things going around on social media, and you'll see that is the number 1 thing. Number 2, being part of a traditional structure power. Okay, so this can be in the hierarchy of a familial unit. It can be in the hierarchy of who runs things on the school ground. But the traditional power structure in aggressive personality types really goes back to number 1. They want to be the one that is in the power and control at the head of this hierarchy, whatever it is, whatever the power structure is. And if it's just between even two people, they've got to be the one that maintains that. And so it's really interesting how important these two things are, and also how they vary. So having power and control doesn't just mean that that they'll allow somebody else to move beyond them. They really want to be the soul at the top, the head of the structure here. So the third thing here is being self-disciplined and being able to impose discipline on others. Okay, so what's really interesting about this is, if you think about it, being able to impose discipline on others can happen in a number of different ways. This can be through passive aggressive behavior. It can be in the form of manipulation, but they will impose some type of consequence on a behavior that they don't agree with or that usurps their authority. And so they can be very disciplined in providing discipline as well, and very structural in this. And a lot of times we see this, a person with a lot of structure and stability is having strength. And when you really start putting these different traits on the table, you'll find that there are really things that are attributable to an aggressive personality type. Okay, the fourth thing is accomplishing objectives. And a lot of times there are things that they want to have happen to maintain control. And so there are certain objectives that they have in place, and they will do whatever they can, which is number 5, reaching goals, whatever they can to accomplish those things. So they have objectives that they need to reach to achieve those different goals. And so it's really interesting that we're going to go from bottom up, and you'll see how this works in just a second, but it's really interesting how there's a whole structure in this aggressive personality to maintain control. Number 6, being active and adventurous, being physically assertive and competitive in sports. Well, not everybody that's competitive in sports or assertive is aggressive. And I really want to clarify here that aggression and assertiveness are two distinct, separate things. You can be assertive by maintaining a certain position on something without being aggressive. And we're going to go into all of this after I reach number 7 here, and that is getting people to do what you want them to do. So if we were to go backwards here, getting people to do what you want them to do, being active, adventurous, physically assertive, and competitive in sports, reaching goals, accomplishing objectives, and we're going backwards here, being self-disciplined, being able to impose discipline on others, being a part of a traditional power structure. All of those things come back to number 1 when you combine them together. And so aggressive people tend to really, they can be physical, they can be manipulative, they can be passive aggressive, but they will do things to ensure that they maintain power. And some of it can be so structured that you would almost not see that this is coming. It would almost be an attractive quality, an attraction to the other person. This is not held by gender either. This can happen male or female. But the bottom line is, going back to number 1 again. Now, there's another site out there that has indicated 7 signs of the workplace shooter. And I want to say that really it boils down to, and here it is in a simplified model here. Christopher McMahon posted on September 8th at aegis-ps.com. The 7 workplace signs, 7 possible signs of a workplace shooter. And here's how it is in a simplified format. Bullying and intimidating behavior, paranoia or conflict with others, obsession with weapons, deteriorating work habits, significant personal problems, poor social skills, or antisocial attitudes, and argumentative behavior. Okay, so let's compare these 2 things. And when we're talking about the 7 traits of an abuser, argumentative behavior, and then we go to, paranoia or conflict with others, bullying and intimidating behaviors. Those 3 things are really important signs because they go back to the number 1, being able to dominate and command others, exercise power, being part of a traditional power structure. Number 1 on that list was, let me go back, bullying and intimidating behavior. So think about this. When we start seeing these signs, they can carry over into other things that are very, very harmful to society. So it can go into domestic violence. It can be part of, just other things that I mentioned earlier. But these also can be part of something larger, and that is someone that's going to actually inflict harm upon society, not just within their own domestic home or their school, as far as on the playground kind of thing. This can go into some really significant, harmful social behavior that will inflict a lot of damage and harm to citizens in our communities and in our nation. So you definitely want to watch out for both of these things, but the first thing you want to do is start looking for these traits of an abuser to prevent any type of emotional, mental, or physical harm to you, your family, or to citizens in your community or in the nation. So this has been part of the 7 series, and I hope that you have found some of the information useful. I ask that you share this with your friends, family, and coworkers, and anyone else that you have connected to you on social media, because sometimes we don't see these as these traits. We look at them one-on-one, and yet when you look at it as a whole, it can really be what is between the lines of something that is a lot more something that we really need to take a look at. If you have any questions, feel free to email me and or message me on Facebook. I'd be more than happy to help you in identifying any other issues that you might question would be related to this, and anything that I can do to help you or anyone else be led to a healthier, happier life. Thanks for watching. This has been, again, brought to you by the Liberty Beacon Project and broadcast on TLBTV.